things started to progress for both boys. The disease started to progress, I should say. Ryan started having signs that you would see in a child that had a learning disability, where he was having reversals and he was having short-term memory problems, attention problems. We thought, you know, he's really learning as a child with a learning disability. So instead of keeping him in a POHI classroom, maybe we need to look at putting him in a learning disabled classroom. But he needed to have an aid, and they were reluctant to provide an aid. So I thought, well, if this is indeed the best program for him at the time, I could volunteer and be the aide in the classroom. But I must admit, it was not a welcoming environment. I was told by the principal that if he had an accident in the room and I wasn't able to get him cleaned up, he would have to leave the program. He could not stay. But luckily, we got through the year, and by then, the hearing started to become the major factor in his learning. So we changed from Chime Elementary, went to Woods Lake in the hearing impaired classroom. It was pretty much, I think it was 7 different schools in 7 different years and 7 different categories. What we found out was that all of a sudden we had 2 very well-served children with every kind of special ed support that's available, and they were miserable. It wasn't just the disease. There was something else going on. And that's when I just happened to overhear a conversation in the teacher's lounge. And she started talking about Circle of Friends. And I had never heard of this concept before. It really got me thinking. Something is missing from their program. The social worker did Ryan and Keith's circle up on the board. The center circle is your immediate family and yourself. And then the outer circle is extended family and really close friends. And the next circle are friends and school acquaintances and people that are in your life on a regular basis every day. And then the last circle are for people who are paid to be in your life. The doctor, the nurse, bus drivers. So all of those people are here. And the big difference that the kids saw when they looked up at the board and saw Ryan and Keith's circle, and then they looked at their own circle, was that this circle was so empty for them. And that was a circle for friends. And so the facilitator said, well, what do you think Ryan and Keith need? And they said, they need friends. So she then just asked if there were students in the class that were willing to help. And she did this with every class, and we ended up with 69 middle school students willing to be friends. So we got the Circle of Friends in place for those 2 weeks of trial. On the first full day, both boys got off the bus, laughing, giggling, talking, galloping, and when I asked them, how was your first full day? Ryan said, great, and Keith said, fun. Now, at this point, Keith especially had lost a lot of language skills, and he was using mostly phrases or single words to communicate. And so we were at dinner at the table, and he looked at me and he said, Mom, would you please cut this meat? It was a whole sentence. He hadn't said a whole sentence in over a year. So there it was. The language started coming back. The committee's report came back right after Ryan and Keith began at Hillside. And so I reported to the board on the progress that we had seen and how it was working very well. And they submitted their request to the state. They made a position statement paper and presented that to the state, and that came back approved. So that we now had a legitimate reason to say that inclusion should be a part of any child who wants it.